Hi everyone, and welcome to Data 8X, Foundations of Data Science. My name is Wilton, and I'll be your teaching assistant throughout this course. I am a UC Berkeley student and have both taken and taught Data 8, the original inspiration for Data 8X at UC Berkeley. In this video, I will go over the basics of using Jupyter notebooks. We will primarily be focusing on how to access, run, and submit labs. Labs are the only assignment you'll have throughout the course. They're meant for you to practice and apply the concepts you learn in lecture. The beauty of Data 8X and Jupyter notebooks are that there is no setup or installation required to start coding. Everything is in your web browser, and all you have to do is select a button to launch the labs and begin learning. Now I'm going to walk through what you'll have to do each week to complete your labs. First, I'm going to go to the edX portal. We've created Lab 0 for you to get a sense of how to navigate a real lab. In your edX portal, on the next page, there should be a button to launch Lab 0. Select the Launch Lab 0 button. This should open a new tab in your browser to a Jupyter notebook. The notebook should be called Lab 0, Introduction and Practice with Jupyter Notebooks. So you might be wondering, what is a Jupyter notebook? A notebook is simply a place to write programs and view their results. You can start coding right away. In this course, all lab assignments will be done in a notebook. If you are unable to use the Jupyter notebook, you can also use the non-notebook workflow. Those instructions are located in edX. I will go over the basics of running code and viewing results in the notebook. I will not walk through all of Lab 0, but I highly recommend you go through the lab yourself and carefully read each step before beginning any other labs. Let's take a look at the notebook. A notebook is made up of rectangles containing text or code. These rectangles are called cells. Cells can be edited by double selecting the cell itself. After you edit a cell, you can select the Play Run button on the top menu bar to see your output. Code cells can be edited in a very similar fashion. These cells contain code in the Python 3 language, the programming language you'll be using throughout the course. Here we can see we have a code cell that says print hello world. Running a code cell will execute all of the code it contains. To run the code in a code cell, first select the cell by activating it. It'll be highlighted with a rectangle on the side of the cell. Next, go to the top menu bar and select the Play Run button. This will show the output of the code in the cell. And as we can see here, the output of the print hello world cell is hello world. I can change code cells to output whatever I want. In this case, instead of printing hello world, I can print something else. I can print I love data science. And if I run this code cell, we can see that I love data science is displayed as the output. As you will see later in this course, the code in these cells will become more and more complex. We have autograder tests to check your work for specific questions. These autograder cells are Python 3 code that usually say OK grade and some question number. If we scroll to the bottom of Lab 0, we can see one of these examples of the autograder cell. To load your autograder tests into the notebook itself, you have to run some code that we have provided for you here. So let's run this cell to import our autograder tests. To run these autograder cells, we run them like any other code cell. You'll see a nice output of whether or not you passed the autograder test. This cell right here is an autograder test for question 0. Let's run the cell and see our output. We can see that we've passed all the tests for question 0. If you pass the autograder test, that means you completed the question. Make sure not to change or edit these autograder cells or they will not run correctly. At the end of each lab, you will have to submit your work. To do this, simply run the last cell in your notebook. This means that we have submitted our lab. In this case is lab 0. I hope this video was a good brief introduction to the basics of using Jupyter notebooks. Go ahead and work through lab 0 yourself to get a sense of using Jupyter notebooks.